Sex Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is adult performer and OnlyFans creator Ken Fields. Ken and I are going to get into all the things and all the places you think we're going to get into. Yes, we're going to talk about him being a male porn star. Yes, we're going to talk about him working with the legendary Adriana Chechik. We're going to talk about him working with the legendary Kazumi in a group sex scene. All of that's going to happen. Ken has a background as a sexpert, and so he has a wealth of knowledge beyond just being a performer. We actually dive using that knowledge so far into being a man, what we think maybe some men out there are doing absolutely incorrectly. We talk about the male loneliness epidemic, whether it's a real thing or not, and from our perspectives, our feelings on that, confidence, having confidence as a man, how to, connect with women more in a way that's organic and real and still fun. And then we also talk about his podcast, All the Feels. You guys are going to fucking love this conversation. We go deep. It's a blast. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Ken Fields.
This week's conversation.
Ken Fields, welcome to Sex Party. How are we doing?
We're doing great. Also, I do sex parties all the time. So we usually don't record them, though. That's actually that's a big rule. Yeah, no cameras.
It's a big no-no.
Cameras.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I just went through not the worst technical difficulties that I've ever been through, but it was pretty hellacious. It was, a good 30 minutes of whatever, but
oh shit, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh my God. Let's look at the time.
It happens. Okay. It happens. Yeah. I mean, if you have a hard out, which it might even actually be an episode title. We could call this one Hard Out.
Hard Out with Ken Fields. I'm down.
Yeah. I think that's going to be
I do, but if we manage to get to that point, this is going to be the longest episode you'll ever have by far. It's okay. I have a shoot today at 4, so I have to leave at 3, which is we're not going to be. Yeah.
No.
Although some of my podcast episodes have been an hour and a half because it's so free flowing. So I've never gone over that. So if we do, kudos. And RIP my career. I don't.
What the fuck are these guys talking about for 3 hours? Yeah. No, I think my longest one is probably 2 hours 15, maybe, and it's definitely one of the specials with 3 different guests or something like that.
Oh yeah, that makes more sense.
Or maybe the AVN red carpet special, but I think that doesn't count because it's not like you're sitting in a studio trying to, whatever. So yeah. Okay, so for the people in the audience that don't know who you are, right, and they're like, yo, it's a dude on Sex Party. This rarely happens. He must be pretty cool,
Yeah.
Who are you and what do you do?
Is this an existential question or no?
You can answer it. Yeah, you can answer it any way you like. This is your question. This is your episode.
No. Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Fields. I am a porn star. I say that not because I'm I'm a star and you should know who I am, but one, because people are I work in adult film. They're oh, well, what role do you have in adult film? I'm a performer. And it's dude, just cut to the fucking chase. I'm a porn star. It's 2 words. Yeah. People know exactly what the fuck you're talking about. So yeah, I've been in the industry for just under 3 years. And I started off as a sex educator, which I'm getting back to a little bit in my own podcast, Sex Positivity Platform. And that branched out into OnlyFans really quickly because one of the things that set my platform apart is that I was making instructional videos on how to fuck good. So So I was all right, well, as long as I'm already naked and fucking on the internet, I might as well start an OnlyFans. And then it was all right, I might as well just turn pro. Let's go.
Yeah,
so,
why not?
Yeah. So it very quickly snowballed, and now here I am, and it's been a great 3 years. I really enjoy the work. I really enjoy the people in the industry. It just keeps growing and keeps getting better. So yeah, there's no stopping, and we'll see where we take it from here.
No, that's awesome. And yeah, you gave a little bit of your origin story away, which I didn't even ask. And like, you know, on this podcast, I try to either completely skip the origin story or save it to the last piece of it. So I didn't say it. You just already gave us a little hint. So maybe we'll get back to it in the middle of the episode or the end of the episode. Maybe we won't get to it because
Sure.
I feel like a lot of podcasts, and I swear to God, I'm not talking shit at anyone in particular, but the first question is usually like, hey, how'd you get into porn? And so I refuse to be that guy.
I do it. Yeah, I know. And I don't take that as talking shit. But
no.
Because it's like, I guess my theory behind it is like, well, like you said, it's origin story, right? So it's like the entire point of doing this and having social media and in this era of OnlyFans is like fans want to get to know you. They want to break down that barrier in this parasocial relationship and actually like get to know the real you. So for me, it's like, okay, especially because some of the people I'm collabing with are other like pro porn stars. Some people are just OnlyFans. I've done stuff with people who are just cam girls and they've never done boy girl content before. So I was there first with two of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, so for me, it's like, who are you? And, like, who are you? What side of this industry are you in, and how did you get into it? You know?
Yeah.
But I have noticed that, and especially like I put out an episode. I just dropped my episode with Chloe Amore, and she's like, "Well, I've talked about this a lot on every podcast I've been on," but I'm just like, "Oh fuck, I'm not original at all." It's like I know it's not, but I've had so many people on that this was one of their first, or at least their first like long form like, you know, media content and whatever. With her, it's like, you know what I mean? Like you were in Playboy years ago. You've been on the top of the board game for years. Like she's like, she's very media savvy and experienced. So it's like, okay, of course you told this story a dozen times. Yeah.
Well, and for me, it's just a personal choice. It's like, let's Christopher Nolan this shit a little bit. Let's Alfred Hitchcock this a little bit, and just like, I don't know,
dice around.
Because
Tarantino does that too. Start in the middle and then show and then get to the end.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm no Tarantino, I'm no Christopher Nolan, I'm no Alfred Hitchcock, but I love those guys. So we're gonna try to emulate, you know.
Yeah, it's a smart way of storytelling too, you know.
Yeah, I just think that you know, if they're out there in the fucking car and they drop the kids off and they, you know, lit the joint up or whatever they're doing on the way to work, or maybe having a little whiskey or something safely before they, you know, go back into the house, wherever they're listening. I always picture where these people are listening or watching this, right? Because it's sex party and maybe they don't want to have somebody walk through the room and what are you watching or whatever. But if for a little meta moment here, if we are on someone's TV, hey, you know, like whatever. But I think it goes much better for the audience to just be a part of the conversation that we're having, you know? So that's why I just like wherever this conversation goes, that's going to wind up being the episode. Yes, I have bullet points. Yes, I have notes from the wonderful, legendary Erica Icon. We love Erica Icon.
Who introduced us. But like back when we met at AVN.
Yeah, full transparency. We've met at AVN 2025 back in January. We chatted for like half hour, 45 minutes. It felt like 45 minutes. Like I think that was Saturday before the red carpet. So it was this weird like kind of lull, I think.
Yeah, which I like that thing, because it's like you get a lot of the shit out of the way, and then everyone else is like kind of conserving their energy that day. So like, it's a bit of an easy day. Yeah, and like low pressure and whatever before people start getting ready for the red carpet.
Yeah, that was my first red carpet. Like the fact that it was AVN Gold Circle red carpet, I was like, you know, it was literally one of the greatest experiences of my life. I will never forget that day. Yeah, it was. I had no idea what awaited me after I wrapped up with you and ran upstairs to put the suit on and, you know, try to look presentable and whatever. And it was just this, I mean, to sound cliche, it was a fucking roller coaster ride, and I loved every second of it. And so,
it's like the star-studded red carpet. Everyone looks super beautiful. Like, and look again, like one of my, I guess we said this offline now while we were dealing with our technical difficulties. But it's like one of my favorite things about this industry is the people, and like they are genuinely interesting people and have cool shit to say, and like fun, funny, witty, interesting, like thought-provoking, whatever, So like, I'm sure you got like a bunch of really great.
Oh my God.
Great conversations.
Yeah. And also too, I mean, this as well. It's like people on the red carpet, they have nothing to hide at that point. They're going into the awards. I'm just some fucking podcaster, and then it's like all of a sudden there I am with I can hear your washing machine.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to move into this room, even though I'm like,
no, it's all right. We don't. It's it's all good.
My laundry. So, yeah,
that's so funny.
If you wanted to know what a porn star's real life is like,
here we go. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm just a podcaster on the red carpet, and like, bam, hey, it's Angela White, and she's like, hi, nice, and then boom, Lily Phillips, boom, Cherie DeVille, these legendary names, and I will echo what you said about the porn industry, and I'll raise it up a notch. Since I've been involved in this industry, it's been nothing but the absolute smartest, kindest, most loving people that I've ever had the privilege of being involved in. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you mentioned a bunch of really good ones. Like all three of them, I get along with so well. And like, Cherie has been a really great ambassador for our industry as a whole, with like all the interviews that she's done about like the Pornhub bans and age verification, and just being a really great advocate for performers and for our industry. This is super weird, but like she did that whole interview with ABC Television, and like I guess I knew, but didn't fully realize at the time that they were interviewing me as well. And like, I mean, I knew because he came and talked to me, and the camera was there. I didn't realize until she started posting about it on social media that this had aired on, I guess it was 60 Minutes. And they interviewed me pretty extensively, but the fucked up thing is they messed up my name.
Oh no!
Like, they put Ken Fields.
Oh God!
Which that happens to me like somewhat often, but like not when I fucking spelled it out for you on camera. Like,
you're 60 Minutes. What are you doing?
They're like, oh, tell us, what is your stage name? And I spelled it out for them so they could get it right. And then sure enough, on the graphics, Ken Fields. Like,
wow. Maybe they changed that because they thought it was too horny or something.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah. Wait, that might be a thing, because for a second, my backup Instagram account, when I had lost my original, I was like, okay, I better start a backup. Well, and I ended up getting it back. But I did Ken Feels Good, and they just banned that shit. I mean, straight, I didn't have anything on there. I think I just had a profile picture. There was nothing in my bio yet. I didn't make a single post, and they were like, no, absolutely not.
Dude, like, yeah. Okay. Instagram.
Yeah, I guess that's too spicy for Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, right now I feel like it goes in waves. It's like, oh no, they got, and then you look at the dead profile, in your DMs, and you're like, oh my God, and you text someone, oh, they also got this person, and you're like, oh, they're coming for me, and then you kind of forget about it for a second, and then it happens, and you appeal it, and sometimes you get it back, and sometimes you don't. But right now, currently, they're on the real predator is Instagram, for real.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's terrible.
This is the first sweep that they've done since this summer, but it feels like it's like 2-3 times a year they're coming for you. And sometimes it's when they update their terms and they don't tell you, but like people in the industry be like, hey, a couple of my friends got caught up in this. You can't post these types of things. Like, make sure you do that from your account. And that's the thing, is they update their terms and then apply them retroactively, which is how my account got taken down in the first place. They were like, oh, these 4 stories that you did 3 months ago, which are no longer viewable to anyone but exist on our servers, that all violates our new shit. And I'm like, I didn't think I had to delete things that no one could see anymore. And but I just stopped posting that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they also apply it unevenly. And there are they took down one of the man on the street interviews I did at XBiz Miami that was like a preview for my podcast coming out. And there was a similar, there is an account that's all they do is like interview performers at the industry events.
Yeah.
And they are openly violating the terms, even the old terms. You know what I mean? That's just the new shit. But it's like I was bleeping out everything that could even be perceived as should be bleeped out, both in the captions and in the audio.
Yeah.
And then these people straight up use the word cum and spell out cum, C-U-M, in their interview at XBiz Miami with some of the same people and theirs is still up. And my whole account got taken down. And one out of the, whatever it was, 6 or 8 things that I did got deleted. So yeah,
no.
Instagram is not our friend. I've been having that conversation with my friends. I've been doing some like sketch comedy reels with my non-monogamous friends. An account called Monogamish TV. You can see them on my account too, but like I've had to coach them in like, yeah, you can't do this. Hey, you got to bleep that out. Like, hey, you can't show this. You can't. And like, they're like, what? Really? No. And it's like, fucking trust me. Like, we're gonna get caught up in this, even though you're not a performer, because they do also like. When I say they unevenly apply things, like they are way harsher towards us if you are a pro performer than they are to anyone else, even if you do. And so I'm like, yeah, listen, dude, like these are the new rules. Everything that we post, I'm like, hey, this is what you have to, or hey, you got to cut this out, or hey, you got to bleep that, or hey.
Yeah. I mean, I bleep fucking so much. People like are in the comments like, this sucks. Why would I even watch this? I'm like, well, you just did A, and B, that you can thank Instagram for the free speech, fucking rejection, like
it's the difference between like you getting to see this at all or not, because they'll delete your whole fucking account.
Oh yeah. I got hit last
now that 18 plus or like below 18 Instagram exists, because that's like, okay, so now shouldn't we be more free to do some of these things knowing
right?
Yeah. And I turned that setting on mine on purpose. Kylie Rocket sent a whole text blast to all of us like, hey, switch your settings now that this is a thing to make sure that no one can see your shit. Yeah, which I was very grateful for.
I think I did it a long time ago, but I'll have to find out from you afterwards if that like what the setting is, because I want to make sure that I'm doing it.
Yeah.
No, that'd be great. Okay, so there's a ton there, and I know everyone's like in the audience. This is kind of like, well, ask him what it's like to be a porn star and how can I be one. We're gonna get there. Yeah. Calm down, have another sip of the whiskey I had mentioned early on, right? Okay. Sure. We will get there. But you said that you have a podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your podcast, because I love the name, and I feel like you'd be a great, just talking to you before, talking to you now, I feel like you'd be a great podcast host. So tell me about like your podcast. Is it weekly? What's the name? Who are you talking to?
It's weekly. It's called All the Feels, which is not like, I know that sounds like clever branding in that way. This actually existed before. That's where I got at least the last name of my stage name. The first name of my stage name was given to me, and that's actually a really fun story. So we'll get back to that. The sex positivity platform came first. Like I mentioned, I got into this as a sex educator. So that already existed, and then it was like a way to tie the whole branding together. Although before I restarted it as a podcast, about 6 months into my career, Instagram deleted the sex positivity platform, the sex ed page, completely, and wiped it, because we had a friend at Meta like, hey, how do we get this back again? And they're like, no, it has been wiped, like aggressively, day of, just you don't exist anymore. So so this is my way of getting back to that now that I have like both the momentum in my career and also the ability to kind of control what I do and when I do it. And like, that I could actually devote more time to it. And it's been a lot of fun. It's basically like a free flowing conversation about sex and sexuality. Obviously, mostly starring co-performers, and as a way of both hyping the collab that we do and having safe for work Instagram content, but also as a way, again, of like reaching our audiences when, between OnlyFans and Instagram, fans really do want to get to know you. So it's a way for me to give a platform to my co-performers and have their fans get to know them better, and also show off my personality, which I do think shines better, more conversationally than, people are like, oh, why don't you just make funny reels with like someone else's audio? And I'm like, because it's not me doing anything. You're just, that's me doing a video parody of another meme that already exists. Like that's not personality. You know what I mean? There's nothing individual to me about that in any way, versus like me actually like having an intelligent conversation with somebody in this industry about not just how they got into the industry, but like about the evolution of their sexuality. You know what I mean? Because that's what's interesting to me.
Sure.
And that's how I approach performing. That's how I approach sex in my personal life. It's about like exploration and discovery of not just like the mutual attraction and chemistry, but like your own individual self-expression of sexuality, as far as like what kinks you're into, and even then, like to what degree and how, and you know what I mean? Just how you are sexually, right? And so it's both about like how you got there, and then also just like what you're into in general and all of that. And then also telling like funny, crazy, wild stories and whatever in between, either just like because they come up, but I definitely asked for that too, because I'm like, we've definitely collected a few over our years, both as performers and just as like sexually liberated people. And then and again, leaning into like the sex ed part, I do ask people for like a sex tip. And I often find that people are giving something that sounds super basic, but is like really necessary. And before I started doing it, I really thought people would get very granular, like you should try this technique. And most people, what they're like, talk to your partner, ask them what they like, ask them what they're into, communicate during sex, and say like, do you like this? Do you like it more like this? Do you like it? And it's like most of the answers are some form of just communication and being open with your partner about like what you like and asking them what they like. And so like, it's been really rewarding in that sense of like, blending those two sides of my career back together again and having this be like a very holistic thing. And like, one of the things I've talked about before on it is like, I am a very multifaceted person with a lot of different interests, but sex and sexuality is like probably like my greatest interest and my biggest skill. And that's why I turned pro. But also like, I do like thinking about it on an intellectual level and on like a societal level and interpersonal level. And it's been really rewarding, like blending all that together when so much of my personal and two different sides of my professional life revolve around this subject, and like on purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like I've basically built my life around sex, and I'm okay.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like my life is I want to say like not starting to, because obviously I host a show called Sex Party, but for me, I feel the same way in my own, and now everyone's like coming up to me like, when are you doing content? Are you going to have an OnlyFans? And da-da-da-da-da. And so I'm starting to get those questions, and I'm like, what? Stay tuned, I guess. I don't know. But, for me, it's always been, this like fascination. And when I started the show, it was a lot more sexperts, as Erica likes to call them, sex educators. Sexperts, I think is fun as a fun term.
Yeah, that's actually what I use. Because then people are like, are you a sex therapist? Like, nope,
no,
I am not a therapist. I can refer people to a therapist and like coaching sessions that I do. But
and that's, and there was a lot of those and relationship coaches like in the beginning, and then now we're kind of more into the adult world. But I have had many conversations with people where they're like, "Oh, is your show going to be a porn star every single episode?" And I'm like, "No." And the same way, it's not going to be a sexpert every episode or a sex therapist every episode, but we're always going to leave that room, for there to be. I mean, at least once a month, you're going to get a therapist or a sexpert or a doctor, or maybe somebody who just has a wild sex story that you won't believe, that kind of thing. Because I want to leave room for fucking Halsey to come on the show and Demi Lovato and all of those people who are like, oh, I wrote this fucking album. It's horny as shit. No one's asking me about the horniness of it. Where do I go? I can go to, Sex Party. I can go to, All the Feels. I can go to Call Her Daddy, and that's it. So that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to build with, keeping people. And it's great to have you because you pull from all of that. You've got the adult star side, you've got the sexpert side. And I think it's really fascinating that you said the same fucking thing that I have had. I'm coming up on 4 years of this show. And if someone's like, what's the best piece of advice you've heard? It would be to ask your partner what they're into. But I really feel like that is a lot harder said than done for some reason. So I don't know if you agree with me, if you disagree, but like, I'd love for you to,
it's
ramble on.
Like, and a big part of why I do what I do. And again, like not every episode that I do is about a collab, right? Like I've had 3 different people on already that like are friends of mine, business partners, whatever. Right. But they do exist in this space in some way. And some of that is just like, people who are very well-versed in like kink and sex parties and whatever, right? But like one of the main motivations behind all of this was like just first and foremost, normalizing the conversation about sex, that this is something that we should be able to talk about, that we need to talk about, that is healthy to talk about, that we need to do away with all of the embarrassment and shame that exists around this subject. And part of the reason that like when I ask for sex tips, it's like, people say like, oh, well, for guys or for girls or whatever. And I'm just like, well, honestly, mainly for straight men, because women find this an easier subject to talk about with each other. They are also just better at communication in general and would be more likely to bring something up to their partner, right? Although then there's the sensitivity of like fragile male ego, which like we can get into, where I'm like, not only do straight men need the most help, because again, gay men talk about this like way more openly, and they're working with the same equipment as each other, and there's just a lot more freedom of sexual expression within the gay community. But men, there's the stereotype that like men don't ask for directions while driving. Like they certainly don't ask for directions during sex. And the amount of women that I've talked to where it's like they tried to tell their partner like, hey, I like it more like this. And like, I know what I'm doing. Like, no, dude, not everyone's the same. Not everyone likes the same things. Everyone's anatomy is different. People have like different clit sizes, or when people talk about that, like, there's a stat that only 2/3 of women can come from penetration. I actually think that it's more than that. It's just a matter of like their partners suck. But that doesn't mean that it's everybody. Like there are definitely probably people who can only come from clit stimulation, but there is a correlation between the distance between the clit and the G spot that can determine the likelihood and frequency and ease of someone orgasming, right? So again, like everyone's anatomy is different. There are clits that are different size and different sensitivities, and fucking same thing with G spots. And like there are women who like having their cervix like rammed. There are women who just like it touched. There are women who like don't like it touched at all, or will double over in fucking pain if you do hit it hard. It's like, you know what I mean? Everybody's fucking different. Everyone likes different things. And like when we get down to it on a granular level, when people are like, okay, so like when I'm on set and we're doing both the consent talk and the do's and don'ts, right? like I'm very specific about how I like to get my dick sucked because I am pretty specific about it, right? And like I've mentioned to people like, oh, I have a very sensitive head in a good way. And they're like, everybody does. I'm like, I'm telling you this because it's even more so with me. So it's important information for you to know that like I need you to concentrate on the head, especially early on. Like you know what I mean? To like get me fully fucking hard. And then you can start deep throating me. But if you start doing that early on, it's just not enough stimulation for me, right? And I like a blowjob, hand job combo. Some people are like, no hands. I prefer it, right? Everyone is different and everyone likes it in a different way. And I also noticed like there's a huge difference between women who are used to working with guys who have foreskins versus those who didn't, because that came up when I was in Europe. And I'm like, it came up in a group scene and I was like, I don't have time to like have this conversation with her because there's 12 of us going at it right now. For someone who has foreskin versus someone who's circumcised, right? So, and part of the language around this too, and this is funny because I had already started down the path of getting certified and starting the platform as an educator, and I hooked up with this girl. This is while I was in like a non-monogamous relationship, and because I am just in general, right? And she was like, how do you like your dick sucked? And like, I didn't have the language to describe it. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, do you like more of like, yeah, the slip and slide, like definitely, you know what I mean? And so even just being asked that question now, again, when I'm doing the consent talk and the do's and don'ts, I'll get real granular with my co-stars and be like, okay, when I'm eating your pussy, do you like more of like, for some of them, they've never been asked that and they have to think about it. Right.
Yeah.
And it's also, you know, they could be like, I like both or like whatever, you know, and for most people, just to like throw out a sex tip there, for most people, the like start and it's like easy to get them into it. And but
I mean, dude, it's fucking awesome that you have that background and also the performer, you know, experience, and you can combine those two because look, I mean, whether you're sucking a dick or whether you're eating someone's pussy, it's like trying to play the right notes on some ancient flute in Zelda. Like, you know what I mean? Back in the day where it's like, I missed it by one note. Now I got to start over. That's everybody's fucking flute algorithm is different, right? Everyone's like ancient
flute algorithm.
Yeah. Everyone's like ancient fucking temple, you know, flute algorithm melody is completely different. And if you lose a note or a key, it does restart, right? Like, and it's very,
that's another good tip, by the way, just throw that in there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that guys misinterpret a lot when women say don't stop, for the most part, that means literally just continue doing exactly what you're doing. Because a lot of dudes, women will say don't stop and they're like, cool, I'll go faster or I'll go harder. And like, that's not what they want.
No.
Keep doing exactly what you're doing. If she tells you harder, then harder. You know what I mean? If she tells you faster, then faster. If she tells you don't stop, just keep doing what you're doing. And then if she does need more, she'll probably say like, yeah, don't stop.
Same. Yeah.
Don't stop.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, whether you're getting head or you're giving head, you know, we've all experienced that's like, oh, this feels really, God damn it. You know what I mean? Like it drops off and it starts over. And so if no one's to combine this with the other point, watch this podcast pivot, Ken, right? If to combine it with the other point, right? It's like, if no one's talking and there's this difficult flute melody that needs to be played for everybody differently and no one's talking, no one's going to be having good sex. Everyone's going to turn into this conservative wacko that wants to like, well, if I'm not getting off, no one should get off. And it becomes this fucking thing, right? And, you know, like that's where I think a lot of the and conservative, if you took it politically, that's on you. But I just mean
No, I'm
sexually,
happy
like,
to.
yeah.
I'm happy to get
It's
into politics. And this is the thing, and that's come up on the podcast too, because like when I had my OnlyFans agency on, one of the questions was like, where do you see problems and issues, and like where is this headed? And there's no way to not talk about the Pornhub bans and the general restriction on sex and sexuality. We already talked about it with Instagram, right? Like
right. Yeah.
the quote that I threw out there is something that I remember, and I try to remind people all the time. And I can't remember who said it. I want to say it was Plutarch, but don't quote me on that. But it was someone from ancient Rome. And the quote is, you can ignore politics, but politics will never ignore you. And,
Right.
and sex and sexuality will always be politically charged, specifically because there are people out there that are trying to control people. And that is a lot of what politics is. And there's, again, with like the Pornhub bans, which they're trying to say that's not what it is, but it is, because it's a battle between, this is a First Amendment constitutionally protected form of free speech.
Right.
And then also on the other side, okay, you're trying to protect children from this, but what you've instituted is now a privacy rights issue. That is a violation of the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
It's also part of the Constitution. So like but what you're saying is 100% true. And there's no way to get around it. You can't say like, oh, politicians in general. No, the Republican Party and conservatives in Europe and in Australia are trying to restrict people from creating, viewing, producing sexual material. And on top of that, just generally control people's bodies, legislate the LGBTQ community out of existence. The whole push for trad wives and shit, and trying to like push for fucking virginity, which frankly is like pedophilic, to be honest with you, because like women have experience, and if you want to be with a woman, she will be sexually experienced, and she should be, and you should want that, because then she actually knows how to play your skin flute, and you know what I mean, like right, like so and this weird conflict between like, they want them to be sexual and good at sex and want it all the time, but then
never have it.
That means they're a slut, and they can't have any. They have to know what they're doing, but they can't. And it's just like, dude, you need to figure out your conflict and your weird, frankly, like inappropriate, unhealthy view of sexuality, and figure that shit out. Because at this point, it's like. And they're finding that's why like all the conservatives are lying about their political status on dating apps, because like no one wants to fuck somebody who doesn't be a full person. Frankly, no one wants to fuck someone who's taking their fucking rights away.
It's true. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is like the idea that if there's any red pillars here, good luck with this one. But the idea that a woman's worth is tied to how many men she's had sex with is fucking out of control. It's like, it blows my mind, because you nailed it when you said, you want, and forget about fucking STDs, STIs for a second, because anybody can get tested for that. Anybody can be safe. It shouldn't, we've all the myths, about, this chick's loose, you could throw a hot dog down a hallway.
That's the big thing to me. That's
Dude, you don't know shit.
They equate that with how many people you've been with. And I'm like, if you are more like, and this is the thing that younger millennials and Gen Z are having less sex than any generation before them. And part of that is like the social isolation of like social media. But part of it, there's also economic factors. It's really hard to fuck when you're living with your parents in your 20s, right? But aside from that, it's that whole idea. Like they equate like fucking a bunch of people with, oh, you're loose or whatever, right? And it's like, so if they're not getting into relationships and they're not married, they're having less sex. But my point is, if you are in a relationship or if you are married, statistically, that means you are having more sex. That's a big part of that gap. People are getting married later or not at all. So that said, if someone is fucking the same dick every day and it's a big dick, or even if it's fucking not and they're just fucking a lot, then like that should actually make them looser than if they have a high body count but they're not fucking very frequently. But that's not how they view it, and it's because like it's all driven out of, frankly, hypocrisy and honestly stupidity.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
doesn't add up. That doesn't add up. If they're fucking the
Exactly.
same person every day, they should be looser. Except again, this is skin and it fucking bounces back. And these are muscles, and the more you use them, the tighter they get. Actually.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
So-
yeah.
and by that same extension, it's like, okay, if you're fucking all the time, does that mean your dick shrinks or gets weaker? Like,
well, some of these guys probably, but
Yeah, right.
but you know, there was a girl in college, and this is like a fucking this. I love this so much, and it was like it was well known that she was in a sorority, right, and she had like fucked at least like half the football team at once, right? And so of course around college, you know, it was like Midwest college. So like at parties, everyone's like, oh, you know who's coming and excited. And then
wait, where? Because I'm from Chicago.
Okay, so it wasn't in Chicago, it was in Ohio.
All right.
It was
State?
Toledo, Ohio. So it's like yeah. And so then during the week, it was like, oh, there goes that slut, you know what I mean? But on the weekends, it was whatever. And so I remember, I hooked up with her because she had hooked up with half the football team, like whatever. Some of the most mind-blowing head like conversation, like sex I've ever had in my entire life. And then everyone was like judging me, like, but on the weekends, like, oh my God, tell me how it was. You know, like I was like, incredible. Everyone should fucking, that woman is a hero and she deserves a statue, right? And you know, now she's like a prominent attorney and, you know, has kids and 4 houses and a fucking yacht and whatever. But it doesn't, my whole thing is like, she was experienced enough to know, and, you know, I'm sure that was difficult for anybody to be like pointed at and da-da-da-da-da. And granted, it was college, so it wasn't as bad as any school, like high school or whatever, but she owned that shit and it like scared people, you know? And so it was like, she reminded me a lot of like Sasha Grey a little bit. She would fucking own that. She was really smart. And it was just like, dude, if you want to have a really good relationship, you know, not only sexually, but like mentally, there's nothing better than finding someone. And a lot of these guys are like, well, I'll find someone and I'll. Okay, sure. But the idea is that if there's a connection with, you know, someone that you're in a relationship with and they have the experience and they can show you things that you don't even realize that feel good. Mm-hmm. Does it get much better than that?
Exactly. And like, I talked about this on my latest episode with Chloe Amore. She was talking about how like girls were jealous of her, and like girls in Playboy were talking shit about her doing porn, or when she first did Playboy, like girls back home were talking mad shit about her being a slut or whatever the fuck else. And it's like the real thing. And also like dudes were like talking behind her back, and it's like, okay, but that's not how you talk to me to my face. And it's like, exactly, because the real thing is they wanted you. And they, like, I guess gender swapping, because this goes for guys too, but it's like they wish they were you and they wish that they were as sexually liberated as you, but they're not, and they're intimidated and they're scared. And so they then project that onto you and say that you're a slut because they're afraid to be as slutty as they want to be. And on the flip side, guys will call you a slut, and it's really because they want to fuck you, but they don't want you fucking anyone else. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, like they either want to be you or want to be with you, and that's really where it comes from. And it's just funny to me because this always comes up in regards to like female performers versus male performers, because like all the female performers deal with that type of like misogynistic slut shaming from men and women, but especially from men, internet trolls, fucking incels and shit, and it gets like really hateful and violent and shit and whatever else. And like, I can't emphasize this enough. It's now like a half a year later since we recorded that shit, right? So I'm now 3 years in, still haven't received a single negative comment on the media platform, no hate from any trolls talking about what I do or how much of a slut I am in my professional life, in my personal life, going to sex parties and fucking, like, I'm pretty much the biggest slut on earth, and no one has a problem with it.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever given me shit about it. no one's ever made a hateful comment or said they're judging me or fucking any shit like that, right? And it's because I'm a man and not a woman, and specifically because it's the men throwing these hateful comments at women for the most part. There are obviously like women out there slut shaming, but like as far as like the real hateful shit, it's fucking incels and internet trolls and fucking whatever else, right? And they don't throw any hate at me because they know for a fact they wish they were me. And they wish that they were fucking as often as I'm fucking. They wish they were fucking the women that I'm fucking. And it's like, dude, then instead of like throwing hate at these women, just build yourself up into the type of guy that could get laid more often, that could get a higher caliber. It's like, work on yourself. You are the problem. And that's
dude,
that red pill incel manosphere mentality of they're throwing hate at other people instead of like, one of the best lessons I ever learned in my life about any subject is anytime you're looking for answers and you're not looking in the mirror and you're not pointing in the mirror at who is to blame and who can fix this, you're looking in the wrong place.
Right.
You cannot blame your problems on other people, even if some people do shit to you. Like the only thing you can control is your response to things. You can't control what happens in the world. You can't control other people. All you can control is how you react emotionally and then what you choose to do about it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I fucking love that. Yeah.
And they're lashing out and spending their time throwing hate online and blaming other people instead of trying to improve themselves and improve their lives.
Dude, I know. And you know, I've been saying this going on 4 years now, but you know, Professor Scott Galloway, a very smart guy, right? He's been all over the place.
I just started following him and it's been popping up all over the place. Because I guess he came out with a book recently.
Yeah, but
media tour.
Yeah, he's everywhere, and he's like a lot of his predictions for like politics and like men and you know whatever, and he definitely is like anti-red pill. But the thing that the one thing that drives me nuts on, he's definitely like a left-leaning kind of like more liberal guy, incredibly smart, like I said. But I have a problem with him because he is one of the voices that has illuminated this male loneliness epidemic thing. And I think it's really quite harmful coming from him. And I can't understand it. So his whole thing is 80% of the women on, wait a minute, I did this the wrong way. 20% of the men get 80% of the women on the dating apps, right? And so for me, his answer is that some women then should peel off and go like fucking settle for these dudes that are in the fucking 80% that aren't getting laid, aren't getting matches, aren't getting whatever. I think that is so reductive and so insane. And to me, you already answered it, but it's like, find a way to become part of the 20% that the women are interested in. And I mean that in a way that like, you don't have to be like Ken, you don't have to be like fucking ripped and jacked and like, I want to be a porn star. You don't have to be like me. Fucking sure. But maybe they want to like be a fucking ping pong star. Maybe they want to be a video game master, right? Go master that shit and look how you want to look and own it and stop giving a shit so much about whatever. And you'll become part of that
version of yourself.
Right. And try to figure out how to make some money on it. You know, like
I know dudes with dad bods who get hot women, like because they're fun and funny. And so, like there's two sides of that. Like one, you're absolutely fucking right. The other part of that is like, get fucking off the dating apps, and go meet people in person. Cause that is part of the problem, not just the male loneliness epidemic, but that drop in millennials and Gen Z having sex is that they don't know how to meet or approach people IRL. And also like when they do, they fumble the shit out of it because they can't get over like, why is this stranger talking to me? It's almost like a stranger danger thing, which is so weird as an adult. But also, I mean, I get why women would be cautious about men.
Sure, yeah.
yeah, it's just a general thing that I've noticed that people were like, who are you? Why are you you know what I mean? It's supposed to like, okay, we're out and we're in the same place. Like, I'm trying to meet new people. Are you single? Or do you know what I mean? Like, but there was another podcaster that was talking about this literally yesterday, and they were talking about like, why don't men approach women in public anymore? And it, like, the over reliance on dating apps is definitely part of the problem. And but it's led to them having like I guess underdeveloped social and conversational skills. And so the other thing that I want to talk about is like, all of this is a skills gap issue, and that's something that people really need to talk about in the male loneliness epidemic. Is like, women have better conversational skills, they have better social skills, they open up to their friends more, they form closer relationships, but like, men need to learn how to talk to women, how to approach women. They need to learn emotional intelligence and how to deal with their feelings better, so they're not, again, like, everyone talks about toxic masculinity. Fragile male ego is a much bigger problem and way more pervasive. There are a lot of fucking man babies out there who don't know how to deal with rejection, who don't know how to, you know what I mean? And it's like, if you go up, if you do muster up the courage and you do develop the conversational skills to be able to just strike up a conversation with a stranger in public, and she turns you down either because she's not interested, she has a boyfriend, whatever, if you handle that well and you still talk to her and you're still cool with her, she might be like, oh, but my friend's single, as opposed to like, no, get away from me, you're being a creep. And like,
Yeah.
many men don't have the social awareness to realize when they're being creepy, or to recognize like how what they're saying is being received, and they don't work on their body language. And to your point, like, you don't have to be as fit as me. Frankly, you're probably not going to be able to get there. But you can be the best version of yourself. You can still get fit. You can still have good style. You can still like have good conversational skills. Even if you're not funny, you can be really genuinely sweet and thoughtful and kind.
Yeah.
Like,
Learn a joke.
kindness is fucking free. You know what I mean? Like, there's such a large gap in social skills and conversational skills and emotional intelligence between men and women right now, and that is where the male loneliness epidemic is coming from.
Yeah, and I think, look, the thing that every human being is attracted to is confidence. It's why psychopaths are always the most interesting person in the movie and in real lives. You know, like, it's why people are into true crime, like Dateline, like, oh my god, who could do such a, like, you know, whatever.
Ted Bundy was a charming motherfucker. You know?
And you know, that's why we vote for people one way or the other. That's why
most politicians and CEOs are actually sociopaths.
Yeah, and they have confidence. Like, and the thing is you could have, as long, however you get to it, you could find a way to have confidence for 120 seconds, right? And I'm not saying go around the bar like, hi, I'm Dustin, I like God. Like, that's not, just whatever it is, you know, that you're, and that's why I always recommend to people, go find something you really like. It doesn't matter if your last girlfriend didn't like your Xbox. It doesn't matter if you're into fucking pickleball, like everyone's into pickleball for the last 5 years, whatever. Like, do your thing that you like to do, and be like, fuck anybody who doesn't. And eventually that will lead into other things. Well, I'm really good at this, and and
it goes through being the best version of yourself, but also like pursuing your interests and finding other people that have that same interest. That's a great way to meet people. It really is.
Absolutely. And the thing is it's fucking hard. Having confidence is hard. You know, also meeting people is really, really difficult. You have to push yourself to like enroll in a fucking class that you don't want to take, you know, like go take acting classes. Even if you fucking don't want to act, you'll meet somebody, believe me, very quickly.
Improv, painting, just pick something that would be fun, or even like something that would be difficult, that would be a challenge for you. But you know, that actually like brings something up, because when you're like, maybe you can't be like Ken, like one of the things I really want to emphasize, like aside from like, you know, working out, taking care of yourself, developing style, developing these conversational skills, the confidence that you're talking about, like, I want to emphasize this, and I want people to really understand that is something that I developed. That is not something I was born with. I was a shy kid when I was younger. I was skinny my entire fucking life until I was like 25. I graduated college at 135 pounds. Okay. Like, and then that, like, I was talking to a friend about this, and she's like, yeah, but you had that face always. Like, all right, great, cool. Like, fair. Like, I had that, right? But I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to talk to girls. And it was only in my time in New York where, especially because New York is such a walking city, and so densely populated, you're around people all the time, in the subway, walking around the street, out at bars, whatever, in restaurants. And I would notice girls looking at me, and eventually I was just like, fuck it, I have to do something about this. And I would go up and talk to them. And so, like, it's the exact opposite of what we're talking about with, like, Gen Z. I developed just incredible street game. Like, I was just going up to strangers and be like, hey, I noticed we made eye contact. You're really cute. Like, what's your name? Like, tell me about yourself. What's your deal? You know what I mean? Just get to know them real quick and just, like, get phone numbers. I would literally get women's phone numbers on the street. And I got so good at it that I would, like, one time I was with friends and some woman walked by. I was like, I got to get that girl's number. And my friend's buddy, who was, like, visiting New York from LA, was like, wait, Chris has told me about this. Like, that, like, you just, like, pick up women on the street. I got
That's crazy.
Can I come with you? And I'm like, yeah. And I brought him with me. I start macking on this girl and talking her up. And and, like, she gives me her phone number. And then she's like, wait, but who's your friend? I was like, oh, I told him I was going to come over here and talk to you and get your phone number so I could take you on a date. And he said he wanted to watch and, like, see how that works. And she's like, holy shit. I was like, yeah, dude, like, it's like that. You know what I mean? But to talk about, like, that process, I remember after I started doing this, I mentioned to a high school friend that I was doing it. And he was like, I don't have the confidence to do that. You're just going up to women in public. Sometimes I would go up to, like, a girl at brunch with a dozen of her friends and just straight, like, spit game. And and, like, it, like, other people are too intimidated to do that. And what I said to this guy was, I don't have the confidence to do it either. I'm scared shitless half the time I go up to these girls. I just do it anyway because I'm like, what do I have to lose? I already don't have her phone number. I already don't have a date with her, right? Like, there's nothing to lose and everything to gain. And so it's literally just a fuck it attitude and doing it anyway, even though you might be intimidated, even though you might be a little scared or, like, embarrassed or whatever. And the difference between me getting that girl and you not is me just saying fuck it and doing it anyway. And the real thing, like, people think that bravery is the lack of fear. It's not. It's acknowledging that you're afraid and doing it anyway. And,
yes.
like, and in confronting that fear, that worry, that the embarrassment, the fear of rejection, the vulnerability of putting yourself out there, and seeing how people respond to even just being brave enough to do it in the first place will give you incredible confidence. And, like, this is actually, like, really funny, but, like, most of the, like, one, I don't have the actual numbers for this, but, like, this shit would work like 80-85% of the time, like, straight up. And when it didn't, girls would, like, usually apologize to me for not giving. They're like, I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend. Like, you really don't have to be sorry about that. Like, but I totally would if I didn't. Like, no, I get that. Like, you know what I mean? And literally the difference is not how I look. The main difference is that I was just bold enough to do that in the first place. And so the biggest lesson is, like, just fucking put yourself out there. I know it's so hard, but, like, in doing it, you will get the confidence to do it more and easier, and, like, it will build on itself. And that's one of the biggest skill gaps and, like, biggest issues that you can confront, and, like, one of the biggest areas of self-growth you could possibly have. And at this stage of my life, like, by the time I started doing that for a couple of years, by my mid to late 20s, my confidence was through the roof. and it's been there ever since.
Yeah.
I feel like I can do fucking anything. I can do anything I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Just whatever I want. It doesn't mean I will
absolutely.
do everything. I still deal
Yeah.
with rejection. I still deal with failure and
Of
disappointment.
course, that's
But,
part
like,
of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but the possibility and the potential and the opportunity is there, and I take it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people can smell fear, but they can also smell confidence. And people think I'm crazy because, my old tactics would just be like, I would just go and sit at a bar by myself. I would just go and sit at a bar in Chicago, and I would be like shot in a beer, right? And then like within 15, 20 minutes, somebody's making a conversation with me, and then bing bong bong, and then there you go.
My roommate in Brooklyn used to do that, and we would talk about it because I was like, my approach and mentality is so different from yours. He would take home girls all the time, and he also had a very different appeal. Like, he was a carpenter and like had a big long beard and like tattoos and a dad bod. And I'm like, your appeal is very different than mine, even though we're friends, we get along. But you make your shit work for you. Like, how are you doing? What are you doing? And that's what he was doing. He would go to a bar by himself and sit at the end of the bar, and women would approach him. And it sounds weird because you'd think you come off as like some loner or whatever, but they're like, that guy's comfortable being out in public by himself.
How is that possible? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And one thing, I had a guy friend from Chi who like lives out here in LA now, and he's like very successful with women, and he's a handsome dude, but he's super fucking quiet. And the fun thing that I realized is like women just project onto him like crazy. You know what I mean?
Oh God,
like, he's a strong silent type. Like, not really. He's just like, he's quiet, but they're like, oh, he's mysterious and he's this, that, it's like, he's just existing, dude. You know what I mean? But like, he made it work for them, just from them like projecting onto him by being the quiet guy. It's weird.
Yeah, and I think that there's something to be said for someone who doesn't care. You know what I mean? And I like, and I mean that in a way where it's like, you don't care if you get laid that night. You don't care if you score the date, right? If you do, that's awesome. We're gonna have a fucking blast. And if not, who gives a shit? I don't care. And so
that's a big thing. That's a big thing, and super underrated. Like I had I was at Jack Knife's birthday party, and him and Ellie Clutch had people back to their house afterwards. And like, we're hanging out in the hot tub, and there's a bunch of porn stars half naked or naked in the fucking hot tub with us, and OnlyFans creators, and just, friends of friends and whatever. Right. And I'm there with Chloe Fox's husband, who I've become like friendly with. Like, we tend to hang out whenever we're like, big industry events and shit. He's absolutely hilarious. And so he's talking about like, how great it is that like we're like straight guys who all of these women feel comfortable being naked around. And we had a discussion about how like it's because they know we're not going to creep on them. And obviously there is something to be said about like abundance and like, okay, yeah, it must be easy for you because you get laid all the time. But I have always had female friends. I've always had platonic female friends. Yeah. Yes, some of them I do fuck now that I'm non-monogamous, and that's a large portion of my friend group. But it's like, some of them I don't fuck at all. Some of them I go long periods without fucking. Some of them I've never fucked, and that's not the nature of our relationship. I also have friends outside of my whole non-monogamy community. I've always had close female friends. They're some of my best friends, some of my closest people who know they can trust me and they can be super comfortable around me because I'm not trying to fuck them. And like, the lesson there is twofold. I guess one, like every dude should have platonic female friends. Like, you just should. Like, they're people, and like they're fun and funny, and you know what I mean? Like, but so many dudes go into it with like the mentality that like the only reason that they would be around a woman is to fuck them. And like, that's so misogynistic and honestly kind of like a little gay, to be honest with you. If you don't actually like women, right? Why don't you just let a dude blow you? And then, you know what I mean? It's like, I get that that's what you're physically attracted to. So am I. But if you don't actually like them as people, you don't actually like spending time with them. You don't actually like women. You know what I mean? And like, and then on the flip side, it's also like, just being a non-creeper, right? That again, it was like these women felt comfortable being naked around us in a hot tub because we're not trying to fuck them right now. And I had a conversation with my friend Scarlet Skies that same night, and she was like, "Oh, we should hang out more." I was like, "Yeah, totally. Like, you know, I know that you had that dinner party that you had to cancel, whatever, but like, I'm totally down. Like, why don't you guys invite me over?" And she was like, "Well, we would, but like, I feel like, you know, you would want to fuck." And it's like, we have before, we've shot together a bunch of times. And I was like, Scarlett, like, one, like, let's be honest, I totally would. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure,
if the
yeah.
option's on the table for me to fuck, like, I'm down. But like, just because I'm down all the time doesn't mean I have to fuck you all the time, or that like every time we hang out, I'm gonna be looking to fuck. Like, if this is just a friend hang, it's just a friend hang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry that wasn't clear to you before, because like, I
Right.
guess up to that point, the only times we had hung out was either like when we're at a big industry party and like no one's fucking there, it's a work event, or when we were shooting together, right? So, you know, fast forward, like she threw a dinner party, I got the invite, and I'm the only dude there at a table full of women. You know what I mean? But like, it was a friend hang, and like, I'm down to just like shoot the shit and talk and laugh and fucking catch up and whatever. You know what I mean? And that is a big thing for like straight guys, both in the like, don't always try to fuck, and also you should have platonic female friends.
Yeah, I mean, it just like you took the I give a shit right out of it. You were just like, I don't either way. Yeah, it's cool, you know, and you meant it. You were, it wasn't like some line you were feeding it, and so therefore she feels more comfortable, and bam, right. And so I think that is once again, it's confidence not only in yourself, but it's confidence in the fact that I don't need. What's the worst that's going to happen tonight? If it doesn't work out, I'm going to go home and jerk off. Well, I was going to do that anyway. So it's kind of, you know what I mean? So like, that's always been my mentality. And to be honest, as arrogant as it sounds, like when I was going through my nightlife stuff or whatever, you know, single and doing all these things for a very long period of time, it was kind of like, it wasn't, I loved sex, right? But there was places I could go where I knew that I had guaranteed threesomes. I had guaranteed piss in my face, you know, please, Dustin, whatever, right? A spectrum of things. It got to the point where like, if there was a new group of girls that were around, I honestly just didn't care. I was like, you know, like, can I get you guys drinks? What are we here for? And they were just like, wait a minute, I'm like, well, first of all, this is my job to make sure you guys are drunk and have a really great time and get home safe. And two, I don't give a shit who like thinks I want to fuck them and whatever, because I could care a lot. You know what I mean? It wasn't until I sort of found a way to say that did the whole thing just I was like, oh, this is a whole new, and so like,
yeah, when that isn't your main motivation and your sole like single-minded mentality, you know what I mean?
It changes,
and then it comes to you.
It just comes to you over and over and over again.
You've demonstrated that you're a good guy who genuinely like is interested in them as a person, not as a fucking, you know, sex toy to masturbate into.
Exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. I do want to get, because we're getting close to the end, I do want to get to your most current scene or your latest scene according to the notes. I hope I don't fuck her name up, but
do it.
Aviana. Avi, fuck! I was gonna go.
I know.
God damn it! Overthought it. Aviana and Ken. Yeah, so
during the scene too, though, because it's like I've hung out with her for a while, but like I kept going back and forth, and I had shot with Adriana Chechik, which is Adriana, right? And I guess I got into my head, and I was like, oh, I think I've been pronouncing that wrong. So I was like, oh, Aviana, and they're like, no, it's Aviana, and it was Sean who was doing it too. And so he's like, yeah, I actually just fucked that up in front of her on camera. So I guess now this is me admitting that like I was up in the air about which it was, but I was right initially. And then I second guessed myself, probably because of Adriana. And then, and like Sean,
mine's because of Ariana. I saw it and I'm like, oh, Ariana Grande, Aviana. You know, like, wait, no, it can't be that. It's got to be Aviana.
Valencia, or fucking like, there's dude.
Yep.
There's a lot of names to keep trash.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women in this industry, not that many dudes.
Yeah,
Not
for
that
sure.
many dudes. There's only one Ken. Yeah, seriously. I figured that out like I guess last year. So I looked through and I was like, oh, holy shit, I'm actually the only one. That's great.
Were you bumping that song from the Barbie soundtrack?
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Especially the Oscars version with fucking Slash and
dude.
And Wolfgang Van Halen fucking shredding on there. Shit. Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Dude, that shit was great marketing.
You just roll up to parties with that bucket.
Wait, I was gonna tell that too. So how I got my name. So the porn industry actually gave me my name. When I went to AVN 3 years ago and I started interviewing with agents, the first one asked like, okay, have you picked a name yet? And I was like, I wasn't even sure you guys were going to say yes. So like, no, I haven't gotten that far. And he's like, oh, dude, you got to go with Ken. You look just like a Ken doll. And this was before the beard too, right? And then the funny thing is like, I laughed because like back in New York, in my whole like sex party circle, people will refer to me and my ex as Porno Ken and Barbie. She's also a blonde. But so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I've heard that before. And then fast forward the next week, because they used to do XBiz and AVN in the opposite order. So the next weekend, it's X3. And I'm hanging out with Alex Cole. And like I had gotten to know her both at AVN and Exotica before that. So it's now like our third time hanging out. I went and said hi to her on the convention floor while she's live streaming. And then at the end, I went to go say goodbye to her. And so like, because I had passed through earlier and then I'm coming back, she's like, oh, by the way, like all the girls were asking, like, who's that dude that looks like Ken? And I was like, which girls, Alex? And she goes, all the girls. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
okay,
there you go.
One, like that feels pretty good that like the porn stars noticed me, but two, that like apparently everyone in our industry just decided you're Ken. And I was like, all right, I have to do that.
No, it's awesome. Yeah. What a fucking I love that.
Yeah.
So this latest scene, tell me about that scene, and then I'm going to ask you about one other scene before we get to the final part of this interview.
Sure. So it was a scene with Balesa with Aviana Violet, and like what Balesa does is so fucking cool. They have different variations of it, but in general, like it's much more like real sex with porn stars. They don't do characters. And they do a few different formats. One is just like, okay, we're pairing you up. Sometimes sometimes it's a surprise. And then they also do a really cool format that's like straight up blind date. So they'll have you with the headphones on and a screen between you, and they'll do the voice change thing, and you don't really know, but it's someone that's on your yes list that you've been wanting to work with, or that maybe you have a crush on or whatever, right? So
nice.
With Aviana, it was literally just that like, I mean, obviously she's smoking hot and like we've always really gotten along, and I tend to hang out with like her and Emma Rosie and a few of their friends, Melody Marks, a few other girls that like they're all in the same friend group that I've become friendly with whenever we're at like industry events. So like it was really just like every time the whole industry gets together, I've tended to gravitate towards like those girls, and we all get along really well. They like going out dancing. So you know what I mean? It's like we've ended up like dancing together at different events, but we always just have like a really fun time together. So like we had been talking about collabing, and then all of a sudden I get a text from her. She's like, hey, by the way, I'm on set with Balesa right now. Expect to hear from your agent. Like they asked me like who else I want to work with. And I said, Ken. So like not a list, just like I've been trying to work with Ken, set that up. So she's like, expect to hear about it. Like, are you free on this day? I was like, yep, sure am. So they set it up, and it was like, we were going to collab anyway. And she's like, fuck it. We're trying to have sex on camera. Let's get paid. You know what I mean? So, and then we got to do this cool interview about it where they're like, oh, so like, why Aviana? And it's like, because we've been trying to make this happen for a while now. Obviously we're really attracted to each other and we get along really well. So it's like, we've been trying to smash, and like, let's make it happen. And it was like great, like obviously like very friendly, flirty between us, like it always is. And then it's just like really awesome chemistry, and like the scene went really well. And like, they usually say like, oh, great job. But like, this was one that we're like, that's going to be a really good scene.
Yeah.
That was fun for us to watch. I'm sure the camera caught the best angles of it. Like that was good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and then you have a huge group scene dropping on your premium stuff on your OnlyFans. I'm imagining, right? With
that was Barcelona.
Okay, so Kazumi is the legend herself, Kazumi, who, like, you know, her, Chechik, Adriana Chechik, everybody talks about what an experience those two are to have sex with for different reasons, but it's like this monumental kind of what you see on what you think is going to happen to you on camera. They're so good at what they do that it's mind blowing for the person that's actually having sex with them. So, you know, whatever you want to add to that. I mean, Kazumi is a friend of the show. She tried to put my business card in her pussy on the AVN red carpet, but it was too sharp. So, you know,
she's a friend, and like a friend of a friend too. She actually like started off in my whole like sex party circle.
Oh, cool.
So like I've seen video of her from like way back in the day when she was like 20 years old. You know what I mean? Getting strapped on by my friend, right? And like and double teamed with another dude, right? And so she's awesome. We've always gotten along. And she is a lot of fun. And the funny thing is that was actually the first time we've hooked up or shot together or anything.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Adriana is definitely an experience. I still haven't gotten the full experience because my scene with her was VR. So like I'm a little constrained in my movement by having to like stay static essentially because the camera's my face, right?
Yeah.
It's goggles just like it is like you're wearing them. So like I can't move around as much. She's got to do a lot more of the work. So I would actually really love to shoot with her again and actually be able to like and the one other person that they talk about in that way that I haven't yet shot with is Kimmy Granger and her riding skills. Right.
Okay.
But Kazumi and Adriana have a similar thing going on where it really is just like they're wild and down for whatever. Right. And in slightly different ways, because like Adriana can take it in the ass so easily and like triple anal and shit that she's done. I mean, it's like you know what I mean? It turns into like this like circus stunt performer type of thing of like the shit that she can do. And she's also like a little bit different and a little bit more constrained now, like post back injury.
Sure.
Kazumi, it's like slightly less crazy than that, but it's more just that she's wild and like super down and like very, I guess, very forward about it. You know what I mean? She'll tell you like, so like, it wasn't necessarily her driving it, but it was like the entire group that we were with was geared towards this. So it was a content house in Barcelona that I was there for a week, organized by Catherine Knight and Rob Hudson. And the last day we did this massive orgy, like you said, Kazumi, Tiffany Tatum, Amira Adara, and
some hitters in there.
Right? Yeah. It was great. Oh, Yasmina, Milena. Yeah. I mean,
wow.
Yeah. Big heavy hitters. And the group of guys were all great. And the cool thing is like, I had never, other than Rob, I had never met any of those dudes before. And everyone got along so well all week and they're really great at like working with each other. And it was very like supportive and like, you know what I mean? They're just really good at group activities and how to like include and accommodate everybody else. But so we did this whole group shoot was like naked Twister, right? And like the girls are playing and then afterwards we all fuck and it was just like wall to wall fuck fest. But there were like 2 moments in this video that like we know for a fact is going to break the internet. One is we formed a human centipede of all 12 of us.
Wow.
An uninterrupted one and then the other of everyone basically performing some kind of that was like 3/4 of the way around the room, 12 people in it. Yeah, licking. So that was a really cool moment.
Sounds like it.
At the end, when we did the cum shots, I was the last one to go, and everyone got behind me and started cheering. Literally, I had a whole cheering section behind me. Yeah, it's like, it was so funny. And like, I actually, like, in retrospect, thought that would have been more distracting than it was, but it was like, it was so fun and funny. And again, such a like positive environment. And plus then it's like, okay, yeah, they're shouting and cheering me on, but I have these like hard, you know, it really was not, especially like Catherine and Tiffany, who just like sort of took charge and they're like, we're going to make you. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, not going to be a problem. No, not at all.
Ken Feels, that's your heart out. Thank you for being with me on Sex Party. I had an awesome time. I didn't even get to half the stuff I wanted to ask you, which is a really good sign, because if I have notes and I get to only 2 things out of 4, that means the conversation was fucking amazing.
I was gonna say, I would much rather have like a real conversation about like important shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, right? Dude. Yeah. And I think that, you know, everyone's gonna fucking love this episode and love you. So let's tell them where they can find you on social media. Yes, but also if they're curious, to where they can go and spend some money on your content, because if you're doing stuff like that, I'm sure they're going to want to spend some money on your content. So where can they find you on socials, Instagram, Twitter, all that? And where can they find you like on OnlyFans and Loyal Fans or Fansly or wherever you're at?
Sure. So Instagram, 3 different places. Ken Feels XO is my main account. Allthefeels.us is my podcast account. And monogamish.tv is the sketch comedy account. And then on X, I'm the Ken Feels, which I always find is funny when people are like, oh, let me get your socials. And I'm like, well, okay, here's my Instagram. They're like, let me get your Twitter. I'm like, oh, you want to see the dick. So obviously there's things you post on Twitter that you can't post on Instagram. And like, it's like all previews of my sex scenes and shit. So Twitter is the Ken Feels. And then on OnlyFans, my free account is OnlyFans/Ken Feels. There's also my VIP account, onlyfans.com/KenFeelsVIP. If you want to find my sex ed instructional videos, that's onlyfans.com/allthefeelssexed. And I'm also on ManyVids and Pornhub, and so many other places. God, there's so
everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's been a blast. I'm definitely. I will tell Erica that I want to have you back ASAP. So let's set that up. And thanks so much for being here,
buddy. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Talk soon.
Yep.
Huge thank you to my guest Ken Feels for being on the show with me this week. If you're loving everything he is doing, make sure you go check him out. Go not only follow him on Instagram and Twitter, but check out his OnlyFans. All the places he's selling his content. I'm sure you want to check out that human centipede bit. I'm sure you guys will love it. Shell some money out. Enjoy yourselves. If you're loving Ken, you want to see guests like Ken, you want to see Ken again, he will be back in the future. But let's just say that you're enjoying the show. You're still on board with all my nonsensical bullshit. You love the show. You want to show that love somehow, but you want to make sure, most importantly, you never miss a show. How can you solve all of these issues, all of these problems in one fell swoop? Well, if you're listening to this on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you could leave a rating, you could leave a review. I love that. And when I get desperately lonely one of these nights in the future, I will look at those ratings and those reviews, and I will be so grateful, and I'll have another drink and I'll read them again, and I'll have another drink and I'll read them again. It'll mean a lot to me. But more importantly than that, more important than my sanity, is the fact that you guys just subscribe to the show. That way you never miss a new episode every single Wednesday, especially if you're subscribed or you think you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts. They've been unsubscribing people from certain shows for whatever reason. So this is what you want to do. Go to Apple Podcasts, go to Sex Party with Dustin Rybka. In the upper right-hand corner, if you see a pause button, you have been unsubscribed. Your subscription has been paused. Tap that button. A drop-down menu will appear. Toggle on down to resume downloads, resume subscription. Boom. you're resubscribed. If you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. If you're watching on YouTube, have you seen any of Ken's content? And if so, what are your thoughts? You could say anything. Just leave it in the comments. Remember, you're on YouTube. They've been a little censorship happy nowadays, so maybe use some emojis. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to make sure that you never miss a new episode, you want to show some sort of emotion, love, hatred, desire, longing, confusion for the show, how can you do that? You could like this video, you could dislike this video, you could do that to all the videos. You could leave a comment, positive or negative. We will go back and forth. We will have a conversation. But most importantly, you want to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel so you never miss a party every single Wednesday. As always, I'm available in the DMs on Instagram, and I will see you all right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at SexPartyFM. Follow Dustin at Dustin Rybka.